Heck
on.
yeah. Um, so let's start with what's going on up there as far as the dang COVID virus and um, racing. What are you guys able to even get out and trail ride, let alone have a race right now?
So we can probably have some trail rides and like have a few people come over to the house or something like that. But other than that, no, there's no real events on or anything here. Like me and my buddy pretty much run most of them, and it's just been too hectic with that, and don't really want to take the risk of getting a fine or
Right.
anything like that. It was good for a little bit, but we got like a mean second wave started like 2 weeks ago, so pretty much all the rules, the freeness we're just kind of getting back to, it's all gone again. So we're back to like can't kind of pretty much have to just chill in the province. We can't
Yeah.
can't travel nowhere without quarantine and stuff. So you're pretty much
Yeah.
limited.
Now you
The border.
you mentioned a buddy of
You
yours
could,
that you and I'm assuming that's Dave.
yeah, that's
How is
Dave.
Dave doing?
Dave's good, man. He just had a little girl, so
What?
he just had a little
What?
girl, so
What?
yeah. So he's been busy with that,
I
obviously,
guess.
and then yeah, and then I believe he's building another Titan 2.0, but basically, same kind of guts, but different looks. So
Cool.
uh, he's trying a couple different things geometry wise, and he had some stuff with turtling last year, so we're trying to correct that.
Yep.
And but he's still keeping the old double motor power plant.
Yep.
So
Cool. Cool. Well, without getting too far off course, congratulations, Dave, Mr. Dave Cosboom. Uh, a huge part of the RC rock bouncing community up there. And I've had the privilege of hanging out with Dave, and it was just that. It was absolutely a privilege to hang out with all y'all. Um,
yeah.
so you talking about him with a new build? I want to know why RC Faboratory set out building a new rig for 2021 when y'all don't even know if you're going to have a a series right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so really, this was, I mean, for most people that have been following me for a while and know that pretty much every year I kind of, change it up, do something a little different. And for the most parts, or for the most time, I always kind of reuse like the same parts, other than bearings and the
Yeah,
small
drivetrain components,
maintenance.
major components.
Exactly. Everything was pretty much unbolt, bolt to a new chassis, fab it up, done, back on the hill. So this, all these parts are from, I think my last build I raced was never satisfied. Um, so all the parts from that are in this one. And then I still have what was supposed to be my 2021 rig is all up in the wall there. So pretty much we still got enough to build another rig. So this one here, I was just sitting on the bench, and there's, I a couple of times I actually had it a running kind of rolling rig, but just some pictures were sent out, and before I could even run it, it was sold.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just
yeah. I
wanted to have, I just wanted to have something that I could kind of throw in the truck or throw in the buggy and go out in the woods. And if I want to run it, I can, or don't want to crawl with the local guys, and just something to beat on. I did try a few new things with this, um, which we can get into later. But yeah, it's pretty much the main reason was just I had the parts. The chassis was pretty much half done, and I just had to finish it.
okay.
Threw some power on it.
So would you say this is a race rig or a race trail rig? You said you just it's one of those like throw it in the back of the buggy when you're heading out to the trail so you can stop and play somewhere. Is that what?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely. Uh, I would say it's a 60/40 like race
Yep.
trail. Like a lot, all the bouncers I build I consider a race buggy is pretty much how this one's built. I used all the same kind of features, dual sway bars front and rear, just because I'm running leading arm, and my bump running the RC Fab bump stops again. So
Yep.
um, yeah,
Yep.
so pretty much similar to what I've done with my last few race chassis, but this one's just the parts don't owe me anything. It's just don't care if they break, kind of see what lasts, see what
Yep.
doesn't, sort of
Yep.
thing.
I see, and we're going to have pictures up for everyone else to see in comparison. But what I'd like to talk about is kind of the profile, if you will, of and what are you calling this one?
This one, I think I might go with Pipe Dream. I think that's kind of what I had so far, but I don't know. I might go with Purple Hammer. I don't know
Okay,
yet.
all right. Either one. The new one, uh, compared to the hazard buggy. You know which one I'm talking
Yeah,
about, right? Okay, so
yeah,
for reference, Sam built a chassis for
heard of
for the
that.
manager of the King of the Mountain RC Bouncer race series up there in New Hampshire. You two have history together. You race together. You've had the opportunity to see his series grow, and he's watched RC
Yeah,
Faboratory build all kinds of nasty buggies. So uh, you were approached by the folks in his series
yeah,
and asked if you would build him buggy. And I got to say that the profile, like I said, that side profile is leaning more towards that, and I think it's pretty neat. I think it's pretty cool.
yeah. I just changed a couple of ways. I normally do my cab
Okay.
pillars. So some of the older school ones I did the rear pillar behind the seats kind of went from one side of the buggy up and over and down, and then the door frame pillar kind of came up and attached to it. His buggy and my buggy, the front, I believe it's the A pillar, goes right up and right to the back of the
Yeah.
buggy.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool, man. I know he was and is still ecstatic with that rig, and you should have seen the look on his face when he when we gave it to him at Mid America at finals, dude. Finals of all places, overlooking the short course track and everything in Mid America, dude.
Yeah,
World famous Mid America. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
yeah, awesome,
Yeah.
man.
So, um, now I will say that I'm excited to show the folks at home watching, but your rigs are everything has a purpose. Every bar, every tube is bent a certain way for a reason. You have mounts up there, and I would like to start right at the beginning of the buggy, right at the front, and talk about first of all RC Fabratory bump stops, but also the axle mounts that you build for the front specifically. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that was, like I said earlier, one of the new things with this one. Um, I, I've always kind of somewhat made my own front motor mount, or sorry, servo mount. I can't, no offense, but I can't stand when they're like right up on that stock axial servo mount. They're way up, way
Yep.
high. I just find, without having the front of the buggy sticking way out like a scoop, to hold the servo, they kind of look weird. Or you got this like super high nose that just kind of
Yeah.
it just seems weird. So I always had my own mount, but this one I built my own link mounts too. So I actually built like a truss for it. So I know a lot of people have built their own trusses and stuff, and there's a few companies out that make the servo comes right down next to the main chunk. You know what I mean? Like I think Deluxe is like that. Um, I just wanted to get mine down as far as I could and not have it stick below the axle housing, which a couple of them do, which is I'm not really a fan of that. So I want to keep mine up high. It's on a little angle, but with the throw of the horn, I'm not losing any of my stability or turning radius. So yeah, and then it also has my bump stops. I got those. The pads are in the truss, and then the front link mounts are on that truss as well. So took a little longer to kind of make it work, but once I figured out, some decent points I could have to, because obviously with link geometry and stuff, the higher up you make those points, the more you start messing with your anti squat
Yep.
and that stuff. So
Yep.
or anti dodge. So it's like everything. You always got to make it work and figure it out.
Yep.
So and yeah, but that's one of the biggest things. Like I physically made. The other difference is I've changed up my transmission setup. So I used to always run the R3 RC four-wheel drive trans that keeps the motor up front. Now I'm gone back to the axial SCX10 like OG
3 year.
transmission housing.
Yep. Yep.
I'm still using the hammer transfer case.
Okay.
But other than that, I did away with the R3. Just it's getting harder to get parts for them, and there's just way too much aftermarket support.
Yeah.
Like the one I got 2 bomb proofs right now, so it's pretty much transmissions for life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you're still running the motor forward, even with that transmission. Even though, despite that transmission not being designed for that.
No, so I have like obviously the front output shaft of the transmission's kind of not doing anything out front, but where I go to the transfer case, I'm running my drive shafts off of that. So I'm still getting the proper gear ratio. There's no underdrive or overdrive.
Okay. Okay. What I not going back to the front axle, what I want to make clear to everybody is Sam doesn't use any sort of skid. So he's not using a bomber skid, he's not using a wraith skid, Hoback skid, any sort of skid. It's all 100% custom. So that allows him to do exactly what he was talking about, and that is mess with link geometry. And that can be a blessing, but it can also be a pain in the ass because you gotta, you gotta have that stuff right. And let's be honest, with those prefabricated skids, there's a whole lot of R&D that goes into those skids being the way they are. But it absolutely limits you as to, where you want to mount links or a lot of it limits you a lot in a lot of ways.
And throw front motor into that leading arm.
Yep.
You start to really limit your positioning of stuff.
Yep.
Like in terms of like how far forward you can get the motor. When you're running leading arm, there's a lot more articulation.
Yep.
So there's a lot more variables you gotta. So I find just being able to kind of I kind of was to do a front motor mount. I was forced to do my own link geometry and figured out like that. It wasn't as so like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make my own 4-link. Oh, okay, now I'm gonna make a front motor mount. Like I always had the idea that I wanted to do a front motor mount, and then when I started fabbing the buggy up, I was just like I said in my first interview, trying to figure everything out, and like now I have a pretty good idea of where like my buggies start, but where they go from there, it all depends on what I want to change.
Yeah, and they're all double shear mounts, not this single shear stuff. I mean, what do you, when I see some of the posts of folks that are just starting out, and I want to go back to the skidless versus skid thing. I am not saying that one is better than the other. There are places for both.
Yeah, there is. I mean, if you have the capability and you want to tackle it, I believe it's worth it for the function of it. Um, but then again, a skid style chassis, man, you can rip those things apart in six
Yeah,
bolts. You gotta change a spur gear up real quick.
yeah,
You're not digging and fumbling inside
yeah,
a fully welded tube. So they do have their pros and
yeah,
cons, and I think with really how light overall these buggies are anyway, you know, a metal over a plastic, unless you're going like full solid and super intricate,
yeah,
the the the, the weights are pretty close. I mean, obviously plastic is going to be lighter, but
yeah,
you know, like I said, if you can do it and you have the stuff to, why
yeah,
not, right?
yeah.
So that's why I went that way. And to be honest, I didn't, like I said before, I didn't know when I built a bouncer. I didn't know what a wraith was. Like I knew, like, I was so new to the crawler and buggy platforms. I knew SCX10, and that was it.
Yeah.
So like even my first chassis, cage, it bolted to an SCX10 platform. So like, and then people were kind of throwing the Wraith around, or the Wraith, and I was like, oh, what's that? So that's how I figured out kind of what axles I wanted.
Your tabs, all of, like I was saying, every tube, everything has a purpose. And I want to say, like, even the cab uh, looks more like it was just built to house a battery, or it was built to, you know what I mean? It was built for work and not to put a fake seat in there with a GI Joe figurine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to talk about that
Yeah.
real quick? Function over form, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just got there's a couple tabs in there to mount a plate for the battery and receiver. The ESC is going to go pretty much right on the floor of the buggy, um, and that's it. I mean, there's definitely room to put a driver and stuff in there, but just one more thing I got to rip out or move to get in there to work on stuff.
Yeah,
So I used to a few years ago, but up until the last couple builds, I just stopped
yeah,
putting them in. I
yeah.
don't know.
So without, I don't want to stop me if you don't want to give up the goods. You don't want to give up the secrets too much, but you're running leading arm, trailing arm. Uh, the lower links are both um, Getty or Bomber length, front and rear. Okay,
Yeah, 16
okay,
wheelbase.
okay. 16-inch wheelbase. You were running AR60 width axles. Anything special about those?
They're the Boom Racing steel alloy
Okay,
housing. Um, I'm running the axial hardened gears, helicat, RCV bell, the Vanquish axle
okay,
shafts, and then I think it's the stage one Vanquish C and
okay.
knuckle,
Cool, cool, cool.
and then the wheels are just like a cheap uh, eBay method,
Okay,
so not VP, but they do got the spacers and the 6 bolt.
okay.
So
What are you running for tires, front and rear?
this one I'm running the XL stickies up front, and the RC 4-wheel drive tractor tires in the back. I think they're the Mud Bashers or
I got.
something.
What foams are you running?
I make my
Okay,
own. I go to the fabric store.
okay,
They got like different thicknesses of foam.
cool.
Um, so you can get anywhere from like a super like fluff to almost like a memory
Cool.
foam. Um, so I just take like a 6-inch hole saw. I buzz out the main ring, and then I take like a 2-inch hole saw and buzz out the center for the rim. and I make my own. I figure out what's soft, how, because I like a softer
Okay.
phone.
Yeah.
I personally don't run the dual stage or any of that. I personally think they're a little stiff for
Okay.
me. I like a softer tire. I almost want to hit the rim when I hit ledges and
Okay.
stuff. I want it to. It's just more suspension almost if you got that
Sure.
tire movement, a little bit more grip in some areas. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I usually just make my own.
Very
So
cool. What about shocks? What are you running for?
these are just the fake kings off of eBay.
Okay.
120 mil. These are literally the shocks that came off Never Satisfied, and like I popped them open, and like there's still oil in them. I've changed them out, but they work good for the abuse they take, and they're slim enough. It doesn't get too bulky running two on each
Yeah.
corner. So yeah, I run like I'm not sure what the numbers would be, but I do have a softer top spring I run on the coil over shock
Okay.
side, and then I run like a little bit of 20 weight in that, and then the bypass side, which is just the exact same shock with the coils ripped of
Yep.
it. I run 40 in on that.
Okay.
That's what I had, but I did a couple drop tests just in the shop, and I have a feeling I'm going to be changing all that out completely. So this is pretty much the shock setup settings from Never Satisfied, but this buggy's a lot different, so I got to change
Okay.
all that.
We briefly talked about sway bars. We know that there's one front and rear. What are you running for arms and stuff like that?
These are the UC Fab
Oh, sweet.
Ultra 4 ones. I had the Vanquish ones before, ran those ones for years. But I was looking to upgrade like the scrub screw size. So the old set of Vanquish ones that I had them drilled and tapped out, pretty much as big as I could go, and I was losing meat on the side of the hole because they're quite narrow. But the UC Fab ones are like almost a quarter-inch thick. Like they're beefy. So
Cool.
the scrub screw in them is like it's like a 2 mil. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
2 mil. So I mean they should hold up.
Yeah.
So but yeah, running those front and rear, and that's personal opinion again. Like I do it just because the 120 mil shocks and then leading arm.
Yeah.
You got to try and control that just as much as you would a trailing arm rear buggy. Pretty sure everybody that's running a trailing arm buggy's got a sway bar back there. So
Yep.
Running a lot more travel up front. So
Yep.
figure it's worth it.
Yep. And is it the same exact sway bar setup up front?
No, the front's a little bit more narrow.
Okay.
And I'm running a thinner bar to it.
Okay.
So
Torsion
it's
bar?
got a little bit. It's got more. So it's got more play.
Okay. Yep.
The front sway bar is pretty much just to cut out that like light choppy. You're flying over some stuff. It's just kind of keep the front end a little stabler so it doesn't wander.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the back, I usually try and run it as stiff as I can. Very little body roll.
Yeah.
Just kind of have to because I have the buggy built. Normally the rear link I usually keep the same geometry. So with a lot of that, the buggy squatting, you want to keep it squared up. You don't want to, I've seen some guys talk about instead of using a sway bar, they crank the suspension they use almost like the shocks to limit the body roll, and that's like a huge no. Like you shouldn't do that, because now
It's
you're
not the shock's job.
using your rear.
Yeah.
So I like the rear to be as solid as I can, so it's planted. That way too, when you're side hilling, your buggy's gonna you stay as flat as it can to the hill. So
I'm gonna have an excessive body roll and allow that thing to roll off the hill. Yeah. Are you running limiting straps at all?
not on this one. I have a set that I was gonna do for my race rig.
Cool.
So I'll probably do those in the future.
Yeah.
This one I just wanted to get done, so I had something to mess around with until I can get the new buggy started.
Okay.
So.
Okay. What are you going for drive shafts? What'd you decide on?
I'm still rocking the old faithful MIPs.
Okay. Yeah.
The Yeti, they're like the Yeti XL ones. Not the Yeti XL, but the XL drive shaft for the regular Yeti.
Right.
I think they're the 145 to 165 drive shaft.
Longer ones.
Just, yeah, I gotta run them just because the wheelbase and the transfer case is a lot more, like the output shafts are shorter than they would be on like an extended Wraith or an SCX10.
Okay.
I'm about quarter inch shorter than SCX10 output shafts.
Interesting. Cool. Okay. Electronics. What are you?
So this one's the still the OG Mama Max Pro with a Rock 3100.
Okay.
Rock 412.
Yep. By Tegan.
And and that setup I've literally had since day one. Like not like physical motor and ESC. Haven't changed it in probably, I want to say 5 years, 6 years.
And what battery do you usually go with?
The only batteries I buy are 2200, 3S, and like 25C. Pretty low discharge rate, but I haven't really had any issues with it. So,
okay.
That's I run those and everything.
There's the little shorty backs.
Yeah, they're about 4 or 5 inches long by maybe an inch or so wide,
Okay.
3/4 inch tall. So they're small enough you can kind of stuff them anywhere. And normally at like an event, I'll run like a battery a run. Like, so even if the runs average are 10 seconds long, I throw a new battery in. I don't take the chance. I don't risk it. So that way too, if I'll run all my batteries, and then at the end of the day, I have basically 4 brand new full batteries, because a 10-second run's really not going to eat much out of a battery.
No. Anything else that I missed? I'm trying to think. I mean, we went through top to bottom. Any sponsors? Anybody got to thank?
No, not really. I do most of the stuff myself. I mean, there's a machine shop around here that does my tabs, but I mean, there's no hookup or nothing. Like, I just basically took kind of a design that was already out there, that a few guys are already doing, and I just tweaked it and changed it just enough for myself, and then I just get this company to cut me like hundreds at a time.
Sweet. You follow the race scene down here. There are a ton of new race series popping up. A ton of people looking for builds. I see it every day. People, what's for sale? What's out there? Are you building chassis for anybody right now, or what's the deal?
Not really. I just this year's just been like everybody crazy. Um, Unfortunately, work was crazy as well, super busy. So I just had a few builds that I wanted to get off. That you
Yeah.
know, like there's the Agnes buggy,
Yeah.
the Hazard buggy. I did a couple personal builds for for some people. So, um, but just I got some other plans that are kind of taking over right now. So I'm kind of taking a break. I just wanted to get all the customer stuff out. Other than that, man, this was pretty much the last one for a bit. I picked up a Razor buggy,
Yep.
so I'm gonna start messing around with that and getting some stuff going for that. And then, but yeah, I'm sure eventually down the line I'll start building.
Sweet.
Um, Again, my biggest advice is have cash in hand and don't waste nobody's time because we're all out here spending a hell of a lot of time building these things and coming at us with crazy offers and silliness is just makes us not want to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
So
It's a turn off. Yeah. No lie.
cash, cash in hand, and know what you're getting
Yep.
into because some of these buggies, some I see guys complaining about prices, and I mean there's buggies that have been posted for less than what it would cost to just build the
Yep.
axles. So if you're bashing a price of a rig and you don't know what's in it or underneath it, like you're just kind of pissing that guy
Yeah.
off.
So if by the grace of God we have an opening in the borders, are we going to see you at some races next year?
Yeah, man, if we can get down there and there's no harassing or nothing crazy like that, and, definitely, man. I was pissed I couldn't go to King of Hammers this year. It looked like a blast. Would have loved to be there in person to hand Curtis's
Yeah.
chassis. You know what I mean? Like, of course,
Yeah.
right? But definitely, if I can make it happen, um, definitely get to one of the southern races. But I can definitely see if everything's opened up, you can definitely catch me at one of the King of the Mountain races
Yeah.
or
Cool.
the the actual event like King of the Mountain 2, like that we went to last
Yep.
year. So
Yep.
we'll definitely be back around, but
You got to see Curtis's Park, man. Oh my goodness.
I can only imagine.
Oh.
I can only imagine.
Wow. 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 It is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's not a little hut down there with a fireplace in it.
I wouldn't put it past him. Honestly. Um,
He's gonna have heaters in the track. It's all melt the snow.
like what do they? You know how they bury the electrical lines underneath the concrete, so the snow melts away. My grandfather had that in his at his hardware store in town. I remember he never had to shovel that because you just had to plug it in at the in the store, turn the switch on, and it would melt the snow.
Well, I'm an electrician by trade, so we can gear him up
There you
something
go,
crazy.
dude. He put in a water. He's got that one hill that's got like you fill up the bucket and you can just turn the hose on a little bit and it trickles water down and it makes the
That's
hill
cool.
wet, man. It's so, dude. The guy's a master. He is,
Yeah.
what can we expect from RC Faboratory in 2021?
Um, so I think the rig, I'm definitely going to build a new rig. Like I mentioned before, I got a bunch of parts here that I got to use. I got a Mamba X and a 3800 Castle for the power plant, and X2 servo, MIPs, same steel axle housing. So pretty much part wise, it's going to be bomb proof again. Uh, just going to make something kind of off the wall, different. Looks wise, just go with some funky, just kind of like no pipe is straight. Like there's gonna be a bend in everything, and just gonna do something different. Um, I liked how this one, like this buggy here, because I changed from the RC four-wheel drive trans to the axial. I had to change a lot of stuff up front. So the way that it turned out, I'm really happy with it. In terms of like where I have all my link mounts, the clearance of stuff, and which always was more of a battle with the RC four-wheel drive stuff, with the front links and the drive shafts trying to clear the bigger, bulkier transmission. Um, this I figured it was going to be more tricky, but it ended up just with kind of moving it around and figuring out some stuff. I was able to kind of go back to similar like Wraith link geometry where the pinch point is at the top four link on the axle side. So just different things like that. So gonna incorporate that obviously into the new one. I'm gonna use the same motor setup, transfer case. Um, you know, most of the ideas like leading arm and things like that. Two shocks on each corner, and all that stuff's gonna be incorporated into it. But yeah, it's just looks wise, and once I figure out some of this link geometry, I can figure out how I want to run it on that one as well. And then yeah, so probably definitely a new buggy, and I might make a trail like another just like a smaller trail truck, SCX10 or something like that. I just got a roller for nothing, traded some tires and stuff for it, so cool. I might build like a little EXO Toyota or something like that, just whatever, have around, let the neighbor's kid use it or whatever, cool. Just press around in the yard there. So that's it for RC stuff.
Yep, cool, man. Well, I know we'll be looking for updates for that, and also when you start building your big buggy too. You want to touch on that real quick? 2021 is gonna RC Faboratory is not going to be RC building anymore. They're going to be building one-to-one Faboratory.
Yeah, I got a Razor 900S picked up this year, so just do some small things to that. New roof cage and some bumpers, and like I mentioned to you earlier, probably going to go like a U4 style, kind of still full body, but a little bit different cage lines, and just make it more for me. Yep. Because we do a lot more winter riding up here. Like that's what we run in the winter, so still got to make it a bit comfortable and keep you warm, but down the road we'll see how that goes, but definitely open to building a mini bouncer or something like that, full chassis.
Cool, man. Yeah. Well, we will be waiting with anticipation, because anything you put your hands to, man, you do good work, brother. So
appreciate it, man. Thank you.
My pleasure. Well, listen, I appreciate you hanging out with us, and like I said, I'm excited to see video footage of this. You guys got snow up there yet?
No, okay. Not yet. We got a little bit there a couple weeks ago, but it's been nice out. So you probably finished throwing electronics in tonight, and I don't have to do any programming or anything. It's all set up how I like it. Cool. So it's just a matter of bolting it in there and plugging it away, and see if I can get it tonight this week. And I got a little pit down the road that I got a few little lines that have been there for a while. So my hills are pretty much gone from erosion. So I got to rake them all out and get them back and running again. But
cool.
Definitely get some footage off for the next little bit.
Well, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. I know this has been a little different. You've done the live show before, and now I know this is a little post-production, but I hope everybody enjoys it for sure, and I definitely appreciate you hanging out with us, man.
And anytime.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right.
See ya.